Welcome to the Markel Meets podcast. I'm delighted to be joined today by Andrew McMellin, President of Markel International, and by Dan Martin, Managing Director of Distribution Strategies and Business Development. Andrew, Dan, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
If you could give me a brief bio.
Sure.
Just to kick us off, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, Andrew McMellin, President of International. Been in the market about 37 years. Started off life as a casualty broker in and around the London Lloyd's market. Then went into underwriting and had various roles, places, underwriting, general management of underwriting, including a stint in the US for about 3 years. Been also ran and sold successfully an MGA before joining Markel 3.5 years ago. And joined to run our wholesale division, which is our London Market Asia Pacific division, and then got promoted to be president about 6 weeks ago now.
Hi, Anna. Thank you.
Hi.
Yeah, I've been in the market not dissimilar period of time to Andrew, actually, 35, 36 years. Originally started out working for a regional sort of P&C company, retail business in the UK. Spent some time retraining as a risk engineer, met a lot of clients, understood what process engineering, process management, risk mitigation is all about. Came back into underwriting. I spent some time working for Catlin back from the early 2000s, where Andrew was also at the time. I worked in a small specialist MGA for a period of time in the London market, and then joined AIG, working on structured portfolio solutions and distribution. So I moved from the underwriting side into more of a distribution side, probably about 10 to 12 years ago, and joined Markel 3 years ago. And very excited to be here on the journey of how we build out and develop the international proposition.
Fantastic. Thanks, gents. Also, both been in the market a similar amount of time and both been at Markel a similar amount of time. And to say that you've only been here 3 years, it's a fairly impressive growth trajectory that you've both played a significant part in. So off the back of a record-breaking year for Markel International in 2024, we continue with that momentum, making some kind of exciting changes and developments to the business. I'm sure that people will be interested to hear in a bit more detail what's been happening, maybe some of the reasoning behind that. And perhaps, Andrew, you could start.
Yeah, I think thinking about those changes is perhaps also worth first starting off thinking about the strong foundations that we've been building over the last 5 or 6 years, and particularly here at International and also within the wholesale business as well. If we go back to 2019, we wrote just over $1 billion of premium as International. We finished out last year, end of 2024, at $2.5 billion. More importantly, we improved the combined ratio from around 99% in 2019 through to a sub-80s last year. And wholesale within that, so our London Market Asia Pacific business, has actually done better than that in terms of it's probably tripled in size in terms of its top line, and equally provided lots of sort of good numbers on the bottom line. So that's a great foundation for which International can then go forward. Now, it's fair to say in other areas of our business, we haven't been quite so fortunate. And some of the organizational changes is recognizing that. It's really about how do we set ourselves up for success into the future. Making sure that we build on those foundations, but also recognize where change can actually be for the positive to set us up well. And set us up well to increase our relevance to our clients and our brokers, and help them succeed. And by helping them succeed, we continue to succeed.
I think you've made a really interesting point there, Andrew, and one that I'd really like to kind of to reinforce. So over to you, Dan, particularly given the clues in the job title as well, but the amount of time you spend conversing with brokers and obviously not only understanding what our brokers need and want, but also through them what our clients are looking for. What are the benefits to our brokers and clients of the changes that we're making at the moment, and the kind of the improvements that have been made?
Yeah, I mean, that's so interesting question. I think the proof ultimately is in we've been able to grow. We've grown profitably by delivering value. So the question then is, what is it that they're seeing or experiencing that we decide is value? Because they kind of have to agree with us on that. We've been very curious the last couple of years, and actually slightly demanding of our brokers in terms of advocating more strongly for their clients to us to build models to deliver expertise, to bring capability to the market in front of them and for their clients, to give their clients better outcomes than they would otherwise have had. I think the insurance industry typically has a history of building products and putting expertise in dark rooms and then bringing them to the market and wondering why they don't fly off the shelves. We've been really considered about listening to our clients, listening to our broker partners, our key broker partners who are advocating on their behalf, and understand what is it that their clients seek, how do they find relevance in what we can bring to market. And then we flip that inside and we've challenged our leaders to deliver the things that those clients are asking for, that they're demanding. Putting the two together has been the key. So we've been more demanding of our brokers to bring more honesty to the table, to talk to us about things that we might not have done before. We've then built the models, we've hired the talent, and we've put really, really good people in front of problems that those people have been able to solve, and they've solved them with value to clients that have wanted to buy those products. So ultimately, that's how we've been able to build the business, deliver scale, and profitability by putting all of those measures together. And I think as long as you remain inherently curious, yeah, we did a great job today. Brilliant. Can we do a better job tomorrow? A better job the day after? Can we be more curious and can we,
continuous challenge?
Yeah, continuous challenge. And it's that curiosity about, okay, I mean, there's so much change. The macroeconomic environment of the last few years has not been stable. The insurance industry has the ability to bring solutions to solve some of those risk challenges and problems for our clients, which means that their risk problems are going to change. They're dynamic. So understanding how we pivot around those, having the flexibility, the agility to be able to do so, and bring value back into that chain has been critical. And I think we've got good at that. I think we can get better, and as long as we remain curious, we will get better, because that's what's going to drive us.
So you mentioned there, Dan, about our ability to kind of pivot and to react to a dynamic risk environment. And certainly, and we'll segue into this now, the political, economic, social kind of environment that we are living in is fairly tumultuous at this moment in time. Do you think that we're doing a good job of kind of leaning into the pace of change there? And do you think as a market, we're kind of responding well to the kind of rapid evolution of the risk environment that many of our clients are facing?
I think certainly as Markel, we're doing a good job. And I think actually, there is a huge amount of uncertainty. And what insurance brings to our clients is certainty in these uncertain times. There's a huge amount of risk out there for our clients, and we as a market need to respond to that. And respond to it in a sustainable fashion. I think from a Markel standpoint, we've certainly shown in the last, 3 years plus that we're really leaning into some of that and showing leadership. And if I think back to, the start of the Russia-Ukraine war, we kind of let into that problem, across many lines of business, where a lot of the market actually did pull away, and we were there very, prominent, standing up for our clients and saying, we're here to lead this business, we're to help you in your hour of need. And I see that particularly on our marine and cargo war business, where we took over leadership on some of those accounts because others pulled away. Where we worked with brokers and the organizations like the UN to create the grain corridor within the Ukraine to allow, sort of economic flow to come out of that difficult region. And when we saw similar, with our terror and our war books as well. And just, as I see, there's some of the conflicts we're seeing at the moment, we continue to deliver on that.
I guess that goes back to Dan's point about that kind of continued curiosity and challenge. How can we continue to improve this? And, while the circumstances for needing to do it are unfortunate ones, the more we are able to find solutions to emerging kind of risks and challenges, the better we'll get.
And I think we're well placed with, the talent that we have at Markel. I mean, we've got a hugely talented pool of people across all the areas of the business, underwriting, claims, distribution, but also let's not forget, the operations and all the other services that sit behind and help those units as well. We're sort of seeing it more recently with the cyber collateral war product that we recently launched, which is, seen as a gap in the market, creates uncertainty for our clients. Well, let's create innovative solutions that we can then bring to market and help our clients. We got a lot of interest from that, not surprisingly, and certainly with all that's been going on in that cyberspace and all that's going on within some of those conflicts, we sort of see that really sort of delivering, and we'll continue to think about innovations around that. So our underwriters work with a lot of our intermediary partners as well to help bring those sort of solutions to market, and that's why clients and brokers can look to Markel to be that leader.
You mentioned cyber there, Andrew. It's fairly prevalent now within the market that cyber insurance offerings are kind of far more holistic. Do you see that kind of move towards more holistic risk management as opposed to just perhaps what was traditionally perceived as the security behind a piece of paper being something that we'll see more and more of? I mean, Markel's just launched similarly with our InsurTech product and FinTech.
Yep.
There's also this now plethora of kind of services that come with it. Dan, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, completely. And I think, the market can sort of think long and hard about what is it to lead, what is it to take part in the market, what is it to follow. And there are good practices at either end of that spread. But the reality is you're only a lead market if people believe that to be true outside of the business and are prepared to follow and are prepared to take our leadership and place some trust in it. And that's clients and brokers as well as other carriers in the market. So I think if you are going to lead a class of business, you have to bring something to that class that isn't always easily achieved everywhere. So that will be risk engineering. It will be providing holistic claim solutions. It will be bringing the right third-party vendors or suppliers, consultants on stream in order to bring some expertise that might exist outside of the immediate insurance industry. It's pulling all of that together and doing so in a way that engages the clients and frankly gets a deal put together. That market-making status of a lead market isn't true simply because someone's been in the industry for 30 years. That is no longer the case. So having tools, having the right partnerships, and being able to bring them to bear to solve clients' needs. I think the other key part of that, which we can sometimes underestimate the value of, is the ability also to listen to clients, to understand their risk needs, not simply to try and respond to them. So there's a lot of talk in the market has operated on a sort of way of everyone's kind of blurting their solution to everyone all the time. But you've really got to listen to understand what is the problem, what is the challenge, how has that come about, and how can we be thoughtful about building something that helps to solve that over time? Can we build credibility and capability, and then lead into a sustainable partnership that exists through the market cycle?
I don't know if it's always very kind of well explained or translated to our brokers and clients why the investment that happens kind of behind the scenes in systems, in data, is ultimately adding value to them. How do we kind of, is that something that you feel that you can put into words?
I think you're right to point out. I mean, if I think about, so our international portfolio analytics team, we've quadrupled the size of that in the last 3 years. It's a significant investment. Why is that relevant to clients and to brokers? Well, because the more we understand and have insight into our own book of business, the more that we're able to understand where the areas of the business that we can be more competitive with, where are the areas that we can have to work with before they become problem areas. And it goes back to how you create a sustainable, profitable portfolio over time. And that's important for clients because clients won't get covered by markets that are here to pay those claims. And if we're profitable over a sustainable period, then the client has confidence that when they come to Markel, their claim is going to get paid. Similarly, when we think about technology investments, and we've been investing in underwriting systems, or investing in claim systems, and that's all again about how do we increase the speed of decision making, how do we unlock the value that we have in the talent that we've employed, so that underwriters, claims adjusters, anyone in that sort of ecosystem can spend more time on the value add. So they can spend more time understanding more clients' business, spend more time, getting more of those opportunities. And by doing that, it also means that as we continue to scale up and grow, we can build into that scale without having to add huge amounts more resource. So we can become more efficient. And again, that goes to helping clients and brokers, because the more efficient we become, the more competitive we can produce our product into market, and the more sustainable over time. So clients and brokers, win through all that, through our investments, and we'll win as well, because we'll understand our portfolios more. We'll be able to win more business. We'll be able to remediate early and before things become problematical, because the sharp cycles in the market tend to happen when people find out late in the day that they have a problem. So the more that we can understand where areas may be going awry and making little corrections, again, the more sustainable we'll be, and the more important we'll be for our clients.
I've got a very, very specific example that completely supports the points that Andrew just made. We've built some models with a very large specialty broker here in London, and these are models that we're now rolling out across the market in quite a considered fashion, where our ability to model a discrete range of classes that might operate within one division. So, for example, within marine or within energy, where we know that not every one of those classes is necessarily going to perform in exactly the same way. We've been able to preload, and we've looked at a broker's book and said, well, we think that the optimum blend of how you could bring that business to market would be as follows. And we then are able to book the business as it comes in and play the live numbers back to them versus the plan that we've set up. Brokers have taken confidence in that, which has given them the ability to build out, following our leadership of their follow community. They've been able to bring other markets on board behind us who trust Markel's view of being able to bring insight through data. Now, what that's meant is those brokers are better able to put a complex deal together more quickly and with greater certainty of execution and bind, which means that their clients get value. So they are able to outcompete their peers for their customers and their clients to provide solutions that are placed in the London market. That's us working with our IPA team to bring really strong and very quick insight from the data that we're able to ingest as we bind business.
And Dan, do you think that example that you gave is kind of symptomatic of the way that carriers and brokers are kind of interacting at the moment, or increasingly the kind of relationship between insurers like Markel and brokers will continue and grow?
Yeah, I think so. First of all, yes, absolutely. We live in very interesting times. Andrew and I, others across the business, we're probably sold a data solution by somebody every hour of every working day, whether it's by email or in a conversation. Every broker seems to believe that they have data that we might want and consult with them on, which typically involves us paying them for something we've got a better version of than they have. So I think one of the real benefits to the way we've gone about building the IPA team is we've got our data in very good order quite quickly. We've been able to spin off dashboards that work on an overnight update basis. So you don't have to wait till month end. You can very quickly see the impact of decisions are having on your portfolio, which means you can start to work through scenarios. The portfolio managers are able to blend that with the underwriters to give them a slightly crisper version of what's likely to happen, which allows us to make more informed underwriting decisions. And it's that informed piece. So if you've got the client, you've got the broker, you've got great data that's built into a platform that's extremely intuitive, easy to use, and has lots of graphical representation. So even an idiot such as myself can see my way through them. You're able to deliver better outcomes. And again, we talked about sustainability and what that means. It means that we're here this year, but we're also here next year and the year after and the year beyond. And then we start to build, we're talking about compounding with Markel. We're able to build relationships with clients through their brokers to compound over time because they see value and they place trust in our ability to deliver solutions for them.
So I'll caveat this question with just to really reinforce that the acknowledgement that we are absolutely an intermediary business, and that we continue to value the expertise and insights and value that our brokers are bringing to our relationships with clients. That being said, do you think that there is more that Markel and indeed other carriers could be doing to get closer to the client and to perhaps have more direct conversations about their risk needs?
Well, firstly, we're an intermediate made to marketplace. We're a broker marketplace, and certainly for our complex business, clients need that advice that they get. I think there's been direct relationships between clients and underwriters for certainly as long as I've been in the marketplace. I'm not sure it's getting any more or less these days, particularly those complex clients. I think a lot of them, whether they have dedicated risk managers or whether it's the CFO who spends time with it, I think they want to know, particularly if they're spending a lot of money on insurance, they want to know and look in the eyes of who the carrier is, and they want to see who the lead carrier often is, actually the individual. So whilst they'll understand who Markel is, and that's important because that's the security, they also want to see who some of our lead underwriters are and understand that they know that about that business. So I think there is that connection. Sometimes that connection is with the broker in the room. Sometimes it's where we go on trips to visit the client directly, and either with or without the broker. We always tell the broker we're doing it, but they enjoy that relationship, and I think that'll continue. We always encourage it, and again encourage it from a claims standpoint as well. So what we're trying to do is push more and more is when we have those sort of tripartite conversations, or even one-on-one conversation with clients. It's not just around the underwriter; it's around who's going to handle your claims. Because quite often or not, they want to see who the lead underwriter is, but also they want to know, well, you're the person I'm going to come to when a problem happens, and you're going to help me resolve it, as they say that to our claims handlers. So that's really important. So I think it has been there. I think it will continue. I think we certainly welcome it. I think most of the broker partners that we work with also welcome it because it plays well into their hands as well. Dan, do you want to?
Yeah, I again double down on the point that Andrew makes around the intermediary channel and the expertise and the advocacy that they bring their clients. I think, for me, this is I think an exciting opportunity for us to think about being possibly a little more progressive. So lead underwriters have met clients for generations, absolutely. But typically they will be exposed to approaching that client from a very narrow, verticalized line of business approach, the class of business that they represent. So we do have, I think, some opportunities to have more rounded and holistic conversations with clients that fundamentally operate without necessarily being dictated by a class of business that might lead that. So we can bring claim scenario planning to clients because of the trends that we see across their industry. We can talk to them. We can talk to energy clients about what their transportation, their marine needs are, what their construction needs are, whether they've got any financial lines, opportunity, etc., etc. We can talk to clients about more things, and we can sell the broader proposition of Markel. So I think we could be, again, if we're prepared not to settle, then we can be more curious. We can build stronger relationships. And we had this conversation with a broker earlier. If I can sit in a meeting room and have a broker tell me that we are an unavoidable market because their client has told them they've got to come to Markel for a solution because that client has a long history of trust and relationship with Markel, then great. I don't have to sell anything. We don't sell anything to a broker. We've already managed that perspective. Part of this is around relevance. Part of it is around client segment, SME versus middle market versus corporate versus major risk, does not have in any way, shape or form the same typical relationship with carriers within the insurance industry. So you have to be careful and selective. But I genuinely believe there is a really exciting opportunity for us to build more progressive and holistic client engagement models for us to understand more about a client's risk footprint and how we can bring more to bear. If we're simply engaging a client on one class of business, we're always exposed to a decision made by other markets to take that client and attract them elsewhere. If we can bring more value by writing more lines for more fundamental clients and having a really good understanding of what we can do for them and listening to them about their risk needs, what their risk register looks like, because they're the experts in their business, but we can bring industry trend, we can bring the claims analysis we've got the data and insight piece from our IPA team. We can match them with our expertise and our visibility of what we're seeing in other businesses that might look a little bit like theirs. And you put those two things together, that's quite a powerful argument. And as I say, if I can sit down with a major broker and have them telling us that there's a client directing them to Markel, then great, that we've won that.
You've made it.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you were able to give, a kind of a brief watch this space kind of overview at this moment in time, what would you be particularly kind of excited or feel was particularly important to highlight?
Yeah, so you'll know we've just launched our 2030 vision, putting Markel on the map. That, I think it shows us, gives us the runway, gives us the ambition to what we want to do over the next 5 years up to 2030. That's around cultivating a people-led business. We're very much a people-powered business. We recognise this is a people industry. We've got to continue to attract and retain the top talent in the industry. It's all about empowering leadership. So as we talked about earlier in the sort of podcast, how do we get decisions closer to the client, closer to the broker, closer to the business? And that's been a success and a successful hallmark of the business to date, and that will continue through it. Ease of trading is our kind of third pillar. So how do we make sure that our decisions are speedy, we're agile, we're nimble in the marketplace, the brokers and the clients see us as a go-to market, and also think about more innovative ways that we can trade with people. It is continuing with that operational excellence. So as we grow the business, and we can do that scalably without having to add the same sort of number of resources, we can utilize our time more efficient, unlock the value and the capacity we have in the business, and that's to some of the technology and some of the data and analytics that investments we talked about. And then there's what we're calling the best of Markel. So we're thinking about the product expertise that we have around international, around wholesale, around national markets teams, the distribution expertise that we have and experience, together with that technology capability, how we bring that together to deliver more product out into the marketplace, to those clients, to those brokers, and that makes us more relevant. And putting Markel on the map is all about how we increase our relevance and how we continue to become that sort of leading specialty player.
Dan, same question.
No, indeed. So I mean, I'm a fairly excitable person, as a number of people have kind of worked out, and I'm pretty much excited about everything that we're doing at the moment. I think we have a genuine stack of some of the finest and most talented people in the market. And so for me, everything flows from our ability to find the best people, to put them into our business in a way that allows them to be responsible and accountable for their business, proper business owners, also to operate with a sense of freedom around entrepreneurship, to try some things. And if things don't work, that's fine. We'll pivot and we'll try other things. But mostly the things that we're trying are working pretty well because we're considered, but it all flows from that point of talent. We've also really experienced the last couple of years that if you hire really great people, they can find other really great people who want to come and join them. So we're solving part of our talent mapping problem by hiring some of the best people we can find, because that actually itself creates a pipeline of people that want to come, join the business, experience what it is to work for Markel, and be a part of what used to be a bit of a secret in the market is less so, which makes life a little tougher. Great, because people have kind of worked out that we know what we're about. But yeah, it's going to be an exciting next 5 years. The last 5 years has been super exciting for Markel, pretty much doubled the size of the business, and we're looking to do that again.
As you say, I think like attracts like, in terms of people, and with the Markel style and culture and the fact that we have, such a people-centric approach, it's amongst, the kind of the growth and the ambition, and the focus on profitability, which, as you say, Andrew, and you continue, every time I hear you talk about profitability, it is hand in hand with the value that brings to our clients, and the kind of that, that point about longevity and security from their perspective. But it really is kind of encouraging, and, certainly something that I've experienced, that this is all done with a continued focus on that authentic culture, and in doing things kind of the Markel way, with integrity, and with a focus on how we can really be kind of a valuable partner and add that value to our brokers and to our clients as well. So long may it continue, and very much look forward to seeing this kind of situation and this podcast happen again in another 5 years, and let's see what you're saying then.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks,
Thank
Anna.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.